With our all-content series so far, we've been prioritising those series without any content in Smash. That's because this is what the Fighter Pass has been most of the time, and that's why we've been predominantly doing third parties. Yet, when Fire Emblem 3 Houses got added right at the end, this changed things. Fire Emblem is obviously a series with many fighters already available, some would say a bit too much, and so including a new character from that series changed the rules a bit. But not completely. After all, Fire Emblem 3 Houses specifically didn't have any content in Smash at this point, so we thought, you know what, maybe there are some games with either very little content or no content at all that are fine. They could be counted as new series even though they're not actually series. Yet, Fighter Pass 2 has thrown this idea out the window once more with ARMS. We don't know the full ramifications of this yet. After all, ARMS doesn't have all its fighters as spirits and it doesn't have any music. All it has are Mii costumes and one assist trophy of its main character. But assuming the ARMS rep isn't of that assist trophy, then the assist trophy fan rule hasn't been broken. And if the fighter is a spirit that's not even in the game, then it's not clashing with any existing content whatsoever. With that in mind, I think we can open the all content series up to individual games, as long as they A, don't have a fighter already in Smash, and B, are distinct enough from any other game in their series. So I wouldn't count Kirby's Star Allies as being something distinctly different from Kirby's Return to Dreamland, in the same way that Fire Emblem 3 Houses is completely different to Fire Emblem Awakening. This is all a roundabout way to say that today's all content is the Wonderful 101, a Nintendo IP from the Wii U era that is seeing a resurgence right now. And in terms of content in Smash Bros. Already, there are only 2 spirits and 1 music track, which is very, very minuscule compared to some other series. So I say the possibility is there, and that's why we're going to be covering Wonderful 101 today. Now, you can play as multiple characters in the Wonderful 101, but I really think the obvious choice for this is Wonder Red, the main character. Yes, he does already have a spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but they could simply label a second spirit Wonder Red Fighter, and that will deal with that. I don't think it's going to be an issue. So how would Wonder Red fight? And I think the main thing is to try and get the spirit of the Wonderful 101 within his moveset, and in that game you're an individual hero who uses hundreds of other heroes to form big powerful attacks. Wonder Red's main weapon of choice is his fists, so that will be what most of his attacks are based on, with many neutrals and specials being jabs and uppercuts and spin attacks and anything of the like that he can do, with a few being based on other Unite morphs in the game, such as his dash attack, which will be Unite Ball. Now the actual strength and size of his attacks are all going to be based on Wonder Red's gimmick, which is the Unite morph. Wonder Red can do standard attacks completely on his own when his Unite morph is at 0, but they won't be very powerful. However, by holding down the neutral special, Wonder Red will be able to charge his Unite hand as it grows and grows in size. It can go anywhere from 0 to 100 depending on how much you're holding down the button. This affects every attack, as in order to pull off the best form of that attack, it takes up some of the Unite Gorge. So with Unite Ball mentioned earlier, using it will cost 10 from the Unite Gorge. Almost every single attack uses this, the exceptions being stuff like ledge attacks and wake up attacks. To find the full breakdown, we actually did a Wonder Red Dream Smasher on the Source Gaming website, which I'll link to down below, as it will list how much of the Unites work for each single attack. Next is the side special, Wonderful Stinger. This move is similar to Ike's side special, except it uses his fist, and the size and damage of the attack is entirely based around his Unite charge. Next is the up special, Unite Rocket. Red forms a rocket that flies straight up. The rocket will need to charge prior to liftoff, and there is a hitbox on top which functions like the Hokatate bomb. Here, the Unite morph doesn't change size based on how much is in the Unite Gorge, instead it affects how far it travels, with 50 being the absolute max. Then we have the down special, Unite Guts. This is a counter special with the capability of reflecting physical projectiles. What sets this counter apart from others is that Unite Guts reflects force, i.e. knockback, and deals 0% of damage. So a jab attack won't really knock the opponent back very much, but if they do something, say a Falcon Punch, which is meant to have significant knockback, the opponent will go flying from the force. And finally we have the One-Stoppable 101. Wonder Red's final smash. This cinematic final smash will have all of the Wonderful 101 dogpile the opponent pretty much with all of their attacks. It's pretty straightforward and gives the other Wonderful 101 a chance to shine. And that does it for all of Wonder Red's moves. Now onto the alternative costumes, which are of course going to be completely based on the other main Wonderful 101. Now we did contemplate having the fighters be like the Koopalings, where each colour is actively a different Wonderful 101, but the problem here is that each of them have a significantly different weapon, and we didn't want to give all these weapons to Wonder Red because that would remove the uniqueness he has with his Wonder Fist. It again is like giving one ARMS character all of the abilities of a bunch of others and then having them be like Koopalings. So instead he just adopts the colour, which changes his jumpsuit and also the colour of his actual fist. The ults are all the ones you would expect. There's a blue ult, a green ult, a pink ult, a yellow ult, a white ult, and a black ult, with the final costume being based around Prince Vorkon, who shares some visual similarities to Wonder Red. Before we move off the playable stuff, let's cover the potential Mii costumes, of which there is only one, the Wonder Jumpsuit. This basically makes your Mii look like one of the Wonderful 101. They get the mask that everyone in the team gets, and they also get their own coloured jumpsuit, the colour of which depends on what colour you choose for your Mii. It's a pretty simple one, but I think it works. So now let's move on to the stages from Wonderful 101, and we had two ideas for this, both very similar, as they're both set in Blossom City, the main location from the start of the game. There are many cool set pieces that take place within this city, although I feel like the most iconic is when Gargujin appears and starts rampaging. Gargujin being the giant robot on the Girth Jerk side, where players usually have to fight him while on his hand. We won't have that in this level because it's a little too dynamic for DLC, but it can be going on in the background, and then the actual stage itself is either one of two things. First, it can be a battle on top of the Virgin Victory, which is the ship of the Wonderful 101. This would kind of be like Corneria, where fighters would battle it on top of the ship as that ship flies around Blossom City, with Gargujin being in the centre destroying stuff in the background. It'll occasionally fly close by and maybe he could interact with the stage. Alternatively, we could have the level be on the rooftops of Blossom City, which is where a lot of stages take place. The level can be in any sort of layout it really wants to be, and then we can have Gargujin show up on the occasion to interact with it. The other core cast of the Wonderful 101 can cameo in the background, with the occasional special Wonderful 101 appearing as well, such as Wonder Director. Whatever we choose, Blossom City feels like it will be the main focus, and so it's really just a matter of layout. Do we keep it simple, do we keep it complicated, or at least as complicated as far as DLC goes, and do we make it look dynamic and cool? Because being dynamic and cool is what the Wonderful 101 is really all about, and the music truly represents that. Now we do have a track already from the game within Smash, but let's look at some other music that we could get with the DLC.
Taking
Alright, now let's talk Classic Mode, and I've called this one Unite Up, because Wonder Red will be teaming up with Smash Bros' various other iconic heroes to battle giant versions of their biggest enemies. So to start this all off, we're going to be having round 1 against a giant Bowser, where Wonder Red will be teaming up with Mario, Luigi and Peach, who will all help in the fight. The battle here will take place on Peach's Castle Melee. In round 2, we have a battle against Giant King Dedede, where Wonder Red will be helped by both Kirby and Meta Knight. The level that this fight takes place on will be the Fountain of Dreams. Now it's time for Giant Ganondorf, where Wonder Red will be joined by Link, Zelda and Sheik, and the battle will take place on Hyrule Castle 64. Coming up after this, we have a battle against a giant King K. Rool, where players will be fighting alongside Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. The arena of choice here will be the Pirate Ship. Round 5 is against a giant Ridley, and players will be fighting alongside just Samus for this one. The battle takes place on Norfair. Finally, round 6, players are against a giant Incineroar in the Pokemon Stadium 2 level. Players will be paired up with a Pokemon Trainer, a Pikachu, and a Greninja. Now the final round is a simple one, against Master Hand and Crazy Hand. However, if your partners from the previous levels have survived, they will join you in this one to help in the fight. Depending on how this could actually be implemented, we may just have to leave it to the leaders of each one, so Mario, Kirby, Link, Donkey Kong, Samus and Pokemon Trainer. But ideally, we'd like to have them all appear in some form. And that does it, a very straightforward Classic Mode, beating which will get you the Wonder Red Fighter Spirit, which will use his new Super Smash Bros. Ultimate artwork. So how about all those other spirits? So the only other spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate already, aside from Wonder Red, is Wonder Blue. That means we have a whole other host of colours that we can get through, so why don't we start with Wonder Green? Played by a Wario on the Prism Tower stage, this fighter uses the Super Scope. Wonder Green is a novice support spirit, and the effect he gives is shooting attack up. Next we have Wonder Pink, played by a Zero Suit Samus on the Clock Tower stage. This is also a novice support spirit that gives electric attack up, and the special condition is that this fighter likes using their side B a lot. Next we move on to Wonder Yellow, a primary defense spirit that increases battering item strength. He's played by King Dedede on Shadow Moses Island, and is attracted to one specific item, the hammer, and it appears a lot, so watch out. Next we have Wonder White, a primary grab spirit that gives speed up. He is an advanced type and is played by Sheik, who comes with a Greninja ally. The level is Suzaku Castle and it is an all-out battle, so go nuts. Finally we have Wonder Black, another advanced spirit and a support type. This time played by the Inklings on Flat Zone X, it's attracted also to an item, Bob-Ombs. Using this spirit allows for an explosive start as you begin the fight holding a Bob-Omb. And that does it for all the main members of the Wonderful 100, but we still have a few more spirits to cover, starting with Luca, a novice support spirit that gives breaking ability increase. He's played by a Lucas and is partnered up with a Wonder Red on the Tomodachi Life stage. You have to defeat the main fighter to win, but he avoids conflict. Now we move on to the Girthajerk, the game's villains, starting with an advanced primary attack spirit, Lambo, who gives weight up. He's played by a giant King K. Rool on Pokemon Stadium, and starts with a baseball bat. Baseball themed items also appear throughout the level. Next up is Immorta, an ace support spirit that gives critical hit up. She's played by a Bayonetta and is accompanied by Dark Pit, albeit he's invisible, and the stage is Venom. The condition is simply to beat Bayonetta, but watch out for that invisible Dark Pit that'll be firing off arrows the whole time. Next is Chugi, an ace primary attack spirit who gives sword attack up, and he's played by a Meta Knight on Corneria. He has increased speed and attack, and his critical hit chances go up when he's low on damage. And lastly, the legendary spirit, a primary neutral one, we have Prince Vorkin, played by Wonder Red in his 8th ult, and accompanied by a Bayonetta and Meta Knight on the Blossom City stage. You have to defeat Bayonetta and Meta Knight to make Prince Vorkin appear, but on top of this you also have to fight through a whole host of villagers. It's an army of fighters. Once you defeat Prince Vorkin, however, you'll stop the Gurtha-Jerk menace, and his spirit will be yours. And that does it for this wonderful 101 all-content video. Let us know in the comments what you think of everything we've put forward today, and if you would also want to see Wonder Red in Smash. Let us know if you're playing the remaster of the game that just came out on Nintendo Switch and PS4. I was one of the 5 people I think who played it on the Wii U, and I had a good time with it back then, so I'm curious to see how well it's been doing now. If you like this video and you want to support us on Patreon, there's a link down below. We've been asking for Patreon requests for all content, so you can contribute there if you want. Otherwise, simply sharing the video with your friends or any wonderful 101 communities you might see would be a real benefit to us. We all have to unite together to defeat the threat known as the YouTube algorithm, so all the support you can give us is greatly appreciated. With that guys, have a wonderful day and always remember to return to the source.